Hey, welcome to episode 8 of Slack Smack. We appreciate you coming in. Sorry about the little delay there, but hey, it's Brazil, so get used to it. So we really appreciate you joining us tonight. Hey, here at Slack Smack, we have made a few changes to the overall platform to continue bringing you the best content. Next week, we're going to do many more episodes of Coffee with the Coach, which is really skyrocketing in its popularity. We've had a lot of requests to gain basic knowledge and fundamentals of the game from an insider's perspective. As a former player and a former coach, a lot of experience that I have with the game, and it's a lot of fun to do. So we're gonna really kind of push that out. I'm gonna put those videos also out on YouTube, so be looking for that. Slack Smack will continue to air live on Tuesdays and Friday nights as well. And we thank you all for tuning in. One of the most valuable things I've learned as a coach and in business, you're only as good as your team. In Joinville, for example, or Joinville, as they say down here, and Boa noite de Brasileiros também. I had one of the best assistant coaches ever. Rafael Urso is what he goes by. And my team here at Slack Smack is amazing. Renan Domac, with Fabula here in Brazil, Victor Mega Hugo, my co-host. What more can I say about him? He's been awesome. And in Birmingham, Alabama, man, holding down the fort, my man in operations, and the Colombian linebacker Pointer. He'll know what I'm talking about, Emery. And a happy late birthday, parabéns to his wife Trish, who's a social media whiz, and she's done a lot for us, and we appreciate it. And last but not least, Gandalf with Digital Emotion AV. Thanks Ed for letting me borrow him, and I mean he's the man who makes it happen. As you can see, the quality of these shows is second to none, and arguably one of the best on the market. It's incredibly difficult and complicated. I couldn't even begin to tell you how it is to do the graphics, the logistics of pushing this out live, especially on YouTube. And because anybody can grab a phone and just pop it up and do Instagram. That's pretty easy, or an iPad. But I think we can all agree that we take it to the next level. So Matt and his wife Brittany, his daughter Lexi, all part of this family as well, and hope they know we wish them the best and appreciate me to steal this in from their house because it's an extension of our own family. So we really appreciate it. All right, so let's get into the show quick because we got a lot. We are already running a little bit behind here. So our first guest, believe it or not, I have never met personally until tonight. About a week ago, I was discussing the topic of name changing with American sports, primarily with the Redskins as an example, or the Washington Redskins, pertaining to Indian nations, finding names, like Redskins, Cleveland Indians, so on and so forth, and why they are finding those names offensive. Joshua Riley is a citizen of the Choctaw Nation and stepped in and basically made me feel like an amateur because he pointed out a lot of things that we don't hear about in the media or the popular argument that's out there. So I said to him, Dan, we need to have you on the show for an education. And so here he is. Here's Joshua right now. How's it going, man?
It's going great. Glad to be on tonight. Appreciate it.
First of all, before we even get into anything, man, I just want to re-stipulate that I really want your headphones and I need an Xbox so we can play some Call of Duty in the near future.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So, before we get into the Redskins and the other professional sports, let's talk stuff about you. Where are you from originally? Where's your family from? Your kids and stuff? Kind of give us a little bit of background.
Sure. So I live in Durant, Oklahoma. So I live in the Choctaw Nation. As you mentioned, I'm a citizen of the Choctaw Nation. I was actually born in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, which is in the Cherokee Nation. My dad is a citizen of Cherokee Nation, so I was born there and raised there, and lived most of my life there in northern, and then moved to Durant when I was a freshman in college. Came here to play college football at Southeastern Oklahoma State.
Whoa, wait a minute. What position you played, man?
I played wide receiver.
Okay. You kind of kept that a secret, but go ahead. Sorry about that. Keep going.
Yeah. I came here to play football, and went to college, graduated, and stayed here, and went to work for the tribal government here, and living the dream.
Nice.
Married, I have three kids, and work for the tribal government doing policy, legislation, and government
Wow,
in
that's
DC.
interesting. So do they name the city after Kevin Durant? Because he used to play there in Oklahoma. Or I'm just
So the
messing.
city the city is actually named after former Choctaw chief
Oh,
Dixon Durant, who is actually an uncle of mine.
okay. So that's going to be not the first time I'm probably going to stick my foot in my mouth tonight. So there you go. So let's talk about, being Indian and a member of the Choctaw Nation.
Yep.
Pretend I'm 4 years old, which I am, and I have zero idea what that means. Kind of talk about what does that mean? How does that work?
Oh, essentially, we have dual citizenship. We are both citizens of our respected tribal nations, and we are citizens of the United States. So, uh, becoming a citizen of the United States did not come easy for many of our ancestors, and I say most Indians did not become citizens of the United States until 1924
Hmm.
during the Indian Citizenship Act. So Congress actually had to pass legislation um, that would grant Indians citizenship.
Wow.
In that legislation, there's actually a stipulation. So there theoretically could be Indians living in the United States who are citizens of their tribe, but are not citizens of the United States.
I was
Stip-
just going to ask that. So if you're born in the United States, you're not automatically considered an American. You're just Indian, or
so
how does that work?
so you probably are. I actually have never met anybody who is not is an Indian. There's just a stipulation specifically in that piece of legislation
Wow.
that basically says that you are a U.S. citizen if it doesn't infringe on your rights or customs or whatever within your tribal nation,
Hmm.
right? So if becoming a U.S. citizen impacted your citizenship in your tribal nation, you would not be a U.S. citizen. So it's highly unlikely that that's even the case in 2020. I have never met anybody that is the case, but it's theoretically possible.
Wow. I was born and raised in Florida. I grew up in Orlando, and I'm familiar with the Seminole tribe, for example, or Seminole Nation down in South Florida. And uh, how many different tribes or nations are there? And is there any dissent between members of different tribes? For instance, you got the Cherokee Nation, the Seminole Nation, Choctaw Nation. Is there any kind of like I don't know. It's like battling with your brother. Like, hey, man, you know what I'm saying? Not dissent. I guess is a bad
so
word, but just some competition there.
so there are a lot of federally recognized tribes, or I shouldn't say federally recognized tribes. There are over 600 tribes in the United States if you go for federally recognized and state recognized tribes.
Six
Um,
zero zero, six
yes,
hundred.
so over
Oh
600. Yes.
crap! Wow.
Um, those are 600 separate tribal governments. Now, sometimes there are multiple tribal governments for one nation of people.
Gotcha.
So essentially, I'm Choctaw,
Right.
right? But also in the state of Mississippi, there is the Choctaw, the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians. In
Gotcha.
Louisiana, there's the Gina Band of Choctaw Indians. In Alabama, there's the Moa Band of Choctaw Indians, right?
Right. So
And so
Choctaw's a
we're
big umbrella, and then you guys are like
uh,
underneath that umbrella,
so
kind of.
so at one point, Choctaws were all one, but because of uh, for the removal, the Trail of Tears. A lot of people have heard of the Trail of Tears, but they might not be that familiar with it. But because of the Trail of Tears, the forced migration of Choctaws from the southeastern United States into Oklahoma, it caused us to splinter, right? And
Hmm.
it caused our groups to separate. And so over the years, not everybody, because they didn't make it to Oklahoma, they had to maintain a life apart from the tribe. So they were essentially a splinter group, if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. Right.
And then in the 1940s for the Mississippi Band, and then in actually the 90s for the Gina Band in Louisiana, uh, they finally developed a relationship with the United States that was for them specifically apart from the relationship with us. It's
Wow.
super confusing and super complex, but they actually were just Indian people living there, and they had no citizenship within a tribal nation
Right.
uh, times because of the separation through the forced migration.
Wow. Jesus. Like I said, I mean, and that's one of the reasons I brought you on tonight because I know for all the people that are watching this and are listening, it's there's so much more. I mean, we could do the whole damn show just talking about
Yeah,
what you're discussing because really there's so much there that number one, we're not taught. Okay, obviously I'm American. I went through high school, went through college, so on and so forth. This is not something that we're taught. We're taught in broad terms like, okay, the Trail of Tears. Okay, you know what that is. We don't know anything more than just this is an event that happened. Okay, we're taught about Thanksgiving. We know that's an event that happened. But and again, I'm not trying to make fun of it or
right.
make light of it, but it's just a fact. Like we just don't have
Sure.
any idea. So it's unreal. But all right, so the Washington Redskins logo, let's get to that. Now, that's actually proposed by Walter Wetzel, which is a former Blackfeet tribal chairman and the past president of the National Congress of American Indians, which maybe not a lot of people know. It was introduced in 1972 and is modeled after a likeness on the buffalo nickel. So some people argue if an actual Indian made the logo, then why is it still considered offensive to people and they want to change?
Sorry, I lost you there.
Okay, which part did
It
you?
cut out. So the emblem was made in the likeness of an Indian. So why is it offensive? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, it was actually made. Yeah, it was actually made by an
Okay.
Indian who was actually the former president of the National Congress of American Indians, introduced in
Hmm.
1972. So yeah, if it's made by an Indian, people are wondering why is that offensive and why do people want to change? And since obviously they don't have a problem with it, so you know what I'm saying?
Sure. I think the idea out there is that there's not one Indian that speaks for all Indians. Um, right? And so somebody may say that's not offensive. Somebody may say it is. On my personal opinion is I'm not offended by the Redskins logo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't take an issue with it. I don't take an issue with the Blackhawks. I don't take an issue with Atlanta Braves imagery. Now Cleveland Indians, and we can get into Cleveland Indians in a minute if you want to. I take offense with Cleveland Indians imagery,
Yeah, Chief
right? But the
Wahoo is
Red,
a little bit over the
yeah, Chief
top.
Wahoo, it's over the top. It's a racial stereotype of what
Right.
people depicted Indians as in Hollywood or in cartoons or whatever during
Sure.
a certain period of American history. So that it's whatever. Now, again, the Redskins imagery is not the imagery itself. I'm not personally offended by,
Mm-hmm.
but there are members of my community who are. There are members of my community who don't. They don't want to see it, and so for them, I will stand by them and say, okay, then we should get rid of it.
Now,
It's
one
more
of the
that
things,
it's the name that I'm offended by.
yeah, you mentioned something to do with the axe or the actual name Redskin. What does that mean? Why is there
Sure.
a little bit of a negative connotation there?
So the term redskin is interesting, and I don't know I don't know which came first. Was it hey, these people have a different colored skin, their skin's red, or was it these scalps that we cut have blood on them, and so they're red skins, right? So the term redskin is used both, I think, by people to uh, correlate skin tone for Indian people, which is strange because the Indian community aren't red. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So, I mean, I've got a whiter skin tone, right?
Hell,
I'm
when I
mixed
go to
blood.
Rio, I'm red as hell, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I was born and raised
I
in
said my dad.
Florida, but I'm white, so when I get in the sun, I'm red as hell. So,
I mean, my dad actually has a red skin tone to him, but he's full blood Indian, and most of our higher blood quantum Indians they have brown skin, right?
right,
So I'm not sure about the term red skin to you know talk about the color of someone's skin, but
sure,
on the other hand, a red skin was used to describe the scalp of an Indian, and we know that largely California, largely Colorado, Texas issued scalp bounties at some point in their history and paid average citizens to just go out and kill Indians and bring in their scalps.
jeez,
And so you have people murdering Indian people for their scalps. Across again, largely California, Colorado, and Texas. I mean, and I mean, literally it decimated entire nations of people because of it. And that bloody scalp bounty is called a redskin.
wow,
And so
good enough.
people will take that and say, why are you calling something a redskin imagery when we know what a redskin is? It's a bloody scalp, right? And so it's highly offensive. Some people will say, well, that's not what they mean by it. They mean that Indians have red skin, and so X, Y, Z. I'm
Well,
not
either
offended by
way,
it.
it's.
It's fine.
I mean, come on. If you're gonna say either way, it's not good. I mean, again, the way that you're shedding light on what you're talking about, it's like, well, what are we even doing having this discussion? Because okay, I get it that um, it's been around forever, it's made by an Indian, so on and so forth. But look, in my opinion, Indians should have the platform to do whatever the hell they want. And I'm just gonna put that out there. I mean, you guys have been through enough shit, and I'm gonna say that on live YouTube that really it doesn't matter what other people think. Again, we could do a whole show on that, but just in my
Sure.
opinion, if there's people out there that say, "Hey, look, we need to get rid of it," then get rid of it. I mean, what the hell's the issue? Because
Well,
look, you guys
yeah.
have suffered enough, so it's like it's not even fathomable that people would argue for the other part of it. But anyway,
Yeah,
and that's
and I'm of the opinion that if people say they don't want to be called that, they don't want to hear that, just do away with it. I
yeah,
mean, who
yeah.
cares?
Give me a break.
Just move on and do something else. It's
Yeah.
not.
And that's what I'm saying. And that
You
kind
know,
of brings me to the next point. There's another argument out there that you might be able to shed some light on that, Indian tribes or nations, some of them receive federal benefits. They get donations. In some cases, they don't have to pay taxes or awarded casino license. And again, this is blanket. So don't, I'm not
right?
saying your particular nation does that or whatever. I'm just saying in general, these are the opinions of a lot of people. So, and these are people like me that have no freaking idea. So that's why I'm asking you. So if these name changes, let's say they do occur, let's say the Redskins change their name, do you think there's going to be backlash and that would affect some of these benefits? So again, you go into Washington, you got to change the name, which we know the Redskins, the team has donated millions of dollars to different tribes, different nations, done a lot of different things good as well. But do you think there'll be backlash to where they'll be like, well, screw it, I'm not doing that anymore. You guys made us change our name, da da da. What's your opinion on that?
So I don't know. I I don't know who they're donating to, or who is benefiting. I think a few years back I saw that there was some donation made in a Navajo Nation. Maybe they built a playground or something. I can't even remember now what it was. But I couldn't tell you a single tribal citizen, and I know people in every single state on about every single reservation in this country. There might be 600
Sure.
different tribes, but I know people everywhere. And it's so funny because we say Indian country is so small. Like yeah, there's a few million 600 tribes, but I either know somebody or know somebody who knows somebody, right? So,
Wow.
um, and I don't know anybody who's ever said, oh no, oh, Washington football team donated money to us or anything. So I don't know who got money or didn't get any money or who got something
Exactly.
built or did. I really don't know. I there's not going to be any monetary ramifications for Indian country, and Indian country is not going to care. The Indian country, by and large, wants to see this thing changed. So I think Indian country's all for it.
Now, changing a pro team name, especially as visible as the Redskins, in my opinion, and I think I told you this before, if this occurs, I think many more teams, like you mentioned, like the Atlanta Braves, like the Cleveland Indians, like the Aztecs for San Jose State,
San Diego.
uh,
Yep.
Florida State Seminoles, as an example, might follow suit and want to be like, hey, if they're going to do it, we're going to do it too. Now, I realize, like, our friend Christian mentioned the other day that, Florida State has a completely different arrangement to where they actually teach
Yep.
things about Indians in their classes and have a real good relationship
Yep.
with the Seminole Nation. But do you think other teams will follow suit if the Redskins do go through with their name change?
That they will. And as you mentioned, I know for a fact that Florida State has a different sort of arrangement. They've spoken with tribal leaders of the Seminole Tribe of Florida. They've made an agreement, and Seminole Tribe of Florida has said, "Hey, continue to use the name," and they're totally fine with that. And that's not for me to say. I'm not Seminole, and so
Sure.
that's not for me to say what they do or don't do. I think Utah has a similar agreement with one of the Ute tribes in Utah, and so hey, again, I'm not Ute, and that's not for me to say what they do. That's between them. I think you will see people follow suit. I think Cleveland has already announced that they're going to do some re-examining. I think Atlanta has announced that they'll do some, examining of their stuff. I think you'll see people follow suit. I know high schools, actually one of the largest schools in Oklahoma, in Tulsa, right in the Creek Nation,
Mhm.
is the Union Redskins, and
Wow.
they have announced that they are their school board is meeting to I think discuss the possibilities of a name change. So um,
Wow.
I think you'll see it, and that's it's been a long time coming. Indian country's been pushing for it for a long time.
Now,
You
there
know,
was a big ruling yesterday in the United States by the Supreme Court, and I didn't realize
yeah,
you're right in the middle of this thing that will greatly affect your
yeah,
nation and many others. What was this ruling for, and what exactly does that mean?
yeah. So it was a huge win, Indian country, and it was a big win for the Creek Nation. It was a win for my tribal nation, the Choctaw Nation, that of my dad's, the Cherokee Nation, the
Mhm.
Chickasaw Nation, one of our other brothers, and the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. And the reason it's a big win for us is that when you look at the United States, and you look across and you see this map of Indian reservations, right? And you see where Indian tribes live and where they have their tribal governments, where they exercise their jurisdiction for criminal offenses, over Indians, jurisdiction in civil
Mhm.
offenses, taxation, and that sort of stuff, where tribes are really sovereign and tribes are attempting some sort of autonomous life, to build for themselves a nation and a home,
Sure.
right? And so, uh, typically, throughout history, when Oklahoma became a state, they becoming a state dismantled the reservations of the tribes that they uh, encompass to become a state, essentially.
Sure.
So if you look at Oklahoma, if you look at a tribal map and you look at Oklahoma, 90% of the state of Oklahoma is some tribe's reservation,
Yeah, I saw
right?
that.
And
It's
so
unbelievable.
it's because this was Indian territory. So this is when the tribes were forced across the Trail of Tears from the southeastern United States. They were brought here from the northeast. They were brought here from the Midwest. They were forced here from the western states. They were brought here. So all the
Mm,
Indians across the nation that they could round up, they forced them all to move here to Oklahoma, right? Well, this is
right.
obviously before Oklahoma was here.
Sure.
So you had 39 Indian reservations here, encompassing, in this area, which is now Oklahoma.
Hmm.
And so, basically, the Supreme Court ruled yesterday that, despite what Oklahoma says, the treaties with the Creek Nation remain intact, and therefore the reservation of the Creek Nation remains. And so, basically, what that means is the state of Oklahoma does not have criminal jurisdiction over Indians in
Wow.
the Creek Nation. Um,
That's
Presumably,
huge.
that then applies to civil jurisdiction as well. So, I think the biggest concern is not whether or not someone's still going to go to jail if they commit a
Right.
Indian tribes are just as strict or even more strict than states in policing and sentencing and that sort of stuff like that. That's not a problem.
Sure.
The biggest concern for the state is going to be a taxation issue, and who can the state continue to tax and who can the state not tax? What's that going to do to the state's revenue? The impact, the state services and things like that moving forward. So
Well,
it's huge.
yeah, congratulations are in order, man. I mean, I bet, you guys are like about damn time. It's
Yeah.
nice to get some good news, for once in a while. And I hope that pans out because I'm sure what'll happen, like you said, there'll be some ugliness there on the tax issue. But the bottom line, when the Supreme Court rules, hey, you better get your ducks in a row because that's how it's going to be. So that's a good thing. Now, one of the largest holidays of the year in the United States is Thanksgiving. I'm not going to spend time diving into
Sure.
what schools teach us in the U.S. about Indians and such, but how do Indians feel about this holiday? Now, again, I know you're American as well, but how do they feel about this holiday itself?
It's one of those things that people just kind of grown accustomed to celebrating. A lot of people don't really know the true history of Thanksgiving. They're raised up and say, hey, it's Indians and the Pilgrims. They came together and they had dinner, and it was great, right? But they don't really know the real history and it and what led to that and that sort of thing. So, it's interesting. You get on social media around Thanksgiving time, and you see a lot of Indians, posting stuff on social media anti-Thanksgiving and that sort of stuff. But you see a lot of them who are like, got my turkey, we're ready to go, we're grubbing,
Really?
you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So it's kind of one of those things. It's a mix. It's again bag across Indian country
It's
for
almost
sure.
like I can see the meme with Robert Downey Jr. just rolling his eyes. I mean, I don't know why I picture that, but I'm just saying from my standpoint, like I said, with all the crap that you guys have been through, and it's like Thanksgiving, and then you guys are like, yeah, okay, whatever. I mean, again, it's just one of those things that's mind-boggling to me that, it's just a continual reminder of like, okay, yeah, you guys, telling your own version of the story. So anyway, that's why that's unreal. But just a couple more things, I'll let you go, man, because like I said, I could do this whole show with it. Jesus. There's always been movements in the United States. Right now, the Black Lives Matter movement is heavily promoted, the hashtag Me Too movements. But in all honesty, the Indian people as a whole were the most oppressed demographic, if you will, in the history of our country. And yet you never hear about that. So my question is, why is that? And do you guys feel a little shortchanged, if you will, when you see these other minorities garnering all this attention, but then with Indians, it's like, hey, we're still here, and we suffered the most.
Yeah, I mean, I played college football with a couple guys who said, "Whoa,
I lost sound. Am I on? All right, so it looks like we had a little bit of a connection issue there, but wow, I mean, like I said, I can really do an entire show just talking about this kind of subject, because in reality, the people here in Brazil and all over the other parts of the world might not know the history that goes in talking about Indian nations in the United States. But the bottom line is, you want to talk about people that have been oppressed, people that have been abused, people that have been used. Go no further, and the question I was just asking, unfortunately he got disconnected there, but it's a true thing. Again, you're not comparing who had it worse. Okay, well, obviously the black people are going to say, well, we had the slavery deal and everything else, with our businesses today, so on and so forth. And the Indians are going to say their part, and everybody has their part. And it's not a competition, but I still think there's no way to compare to what the Indian tribes or Indian nations have gone through. So I think, did we bring you back on? Are you back on? Oh,
I don't know, I got kicked off." Or
awesome. So yeah, so kind of, can you answer that question? Like I was saying, why do you think people, first of all, Indian groups you don't see haven't really kind of organized and staged anything, at least in my history that I can remember. And when you see all these other minority groups doing that, like I said, do you guys feel like, okay, hey, that's great for you, but we've been doing this, from the beginning. So
Sure. So, a lot of tribal groups mobilized real big back in the 50s, 60s, 70s.
mhm.
And the United States has had an interesting, I guess, 20th century. The 20th century was very interesting for Indian country because it was like, I call it a roller coaster. When I give a presentation about tribal sovereignty and tribal governments, I talk about a roller coaster because
Sure.
you had this policies in the 1900s, right about 1900, where they were stripping tribal land, right? And
Right.
then you had in 1930, it was like, oh, just kidding, we're going to promote tribal governments. And then the 1950s, we had the termination era, and that was the Congress coming in saying, hey, look, no more tribal governments. We're gonna abolish all tribal governments. We're going to take land. We're going to sell land. We're going to sell resources. We're going to, XYZ, no more tribal governments. Everybody's just American, right? That obviously didn't work. And then you had the 70s where they were like, okay, just kidding again. Actually, we're going to promote tribal governments now. We're going to promote tribal self-determination, tribal autonomy, and XYZ. And so it's just been a roller coaster. But during that time, the American Indian movement was very big. So we call it AIM, American Indian Movement. And
Hmm.
basically what happened was there were pockets of these protests across the country. Oklahoma was really big. California was really big. Minnesota was really big. So basically these pockets around the country with very high Indian populations, these groups formed. And then out of these groups forming, essentially one larger group formed in Minnesota, and they called themselves the American Indian Movement. They
Hmm.
marched all across the country. They took over federal buildings. They seized Alcatraz in San Francisco Bay.
Wow.
They marched to Washington. There was a standoff in South Dakota with federal agents. They burned buildings. They marched to Washington D.C. They overtook the federal Bureau of Indian Affairs building in Washington D.C. And a lot of people saw these people as gangsters, right? And they're
Mhm.
like, "Oh, these people are thugs. These people are gangsters. These are people who have been oppressed for so long. People who are tired of
Yeah.
being killed. People who have had everything taken from them for so long. Finally, people said enough is enough.
Enough. Yeah.
And out of this movement, we got the Indian Self-Determination and Education Assistance Act. and that was finally, that was in the 1970s. That was about 1975, and Congress finally said, "Hey, look, enough is enough. We agree enough is enough. We've got to do our part to right the wrongs." And so here is this piece of legislation that allowed tribes and the federal government, basically it allowed the tribes to tell the federal government, "We are a nation in ourselves. We've always been and we always will be. We need you to back up out of our business." And so they said, "Okay, we're going to back up. We're going to let go and let you be your own government again. And we're not going to tell you what to do. We're going to allow you to run." And so tribes, we call it self-determination. It's a self-determination era. And we call the act basically the Self-Determination Act. So tribes, I mean, and Indian country, you don't hear a lot of it because, a lot of negative connotation with writing, obviously.
Right.
And, I don't want my kids marching into a federal building and taking it over.
Sure.
Right. I don't want my kids being seen as terrorists. But we owe a lot to those people who put their lives on the line, those people who did that, because had they not done that, we would not be in the situation we're in today. We would probably still, be in confined spaces, very little for housing, very little for food, kind of oppressed or suppressed by the United States government. It would still be the same situation. So
Yeah, and
that
one man's
movement really
terrorist
sparked
is
a lot of
another.
change.
Sorry, one man's
Sure.
terrorist is another man's patriot. So,
It is. I mean, you're right.
obviously, anybody can stand back and say, they're doing it now. With the Black Lives Matter movement, there's, people are calling them terrorists with the right, because obviously you're going to have some bad apples in there. That
Sure.
happens. But the overall message, and again, especially when it comes to you guys, the government should just shut up and just be like, "Okay, what do you want?" Because in reality, you guys have been getting screwed for so long. And again, I'm using that kind of language because it's just a fact. I mean, it is what it is. And as a white guy, I live in Brazil now. I've got a mixed son. My wife is black. My son is mixed. We see things a little bit differently here, but it doesn't matter. And I just think that you guys have an amazing story, and I can't believe that the government would have any pushback on anything, to be honest with you, because it should be like almost a blank check, if you will.
It's
Because
shame. I mean, it's shameful from our eyes. We see it as shameful. It's like, you did X, Y, Z, but you can't even
yeah,
you
it's
can't even say
unbelievable.
sorry. I mean, that's kind of,
No,
you know, but that's kind of the way it is.
and it pisses me off, and I'm not even Indian, so I can't imagine what you guys go through. And this is really, like I said, opened up my eyes a lot, and we will definitely try to pursue this even more. We'll talk about this offline. Maybe bringing some more guys on and talk about it, because this is an issue that, like I said, not a lot of people know. There's a lot of Indians down here.
Sure.
Up in the Amazon. And again,
Sure.
I don't know how that all plays. Again, I'm a novice, so I have no idea. But the bottom
Yep.
line is they get screwed everywhere. I know they're getting screwed down here as well, especially with the Amazon. They're knocking down trees everywhere, and trying to push people out. It's the same type of deal. So
It is. Yep.
it's unreal. Okay, on a lighter note, how do you come up with the Indian names, and do you have one?
Okay, so that's kind of one of those stereotypical things that everybody, kind
Exactly.
of
Yeah.
has an idea about, but it's rooted in some fact. So most tribes have different naming ceremonies, or historically, I should say, had different naming ceremonies in the way that people received their names. So in Choctaw culture, historically, people wouldn't get a name until they were probably 3 years old, and then their name could change times during their life. So oftentimes their name changed the first time they went to war. Or their name would change later in life as well, and so their name would become something that they did, something that was a milestone, something monumentous that they did in their life, and then their name would become something associated. We don't have naming ceremonies in Choctaw Nation anymore.
Mhm.
It's just one of those things that kind of got lost.
Right.
throughout time, throughout assimilation. But there are plenty of tribes across the United States who still do naming ceremonies, and it's customary when you meet Indian people. They they'll tell you their Indian name, they'll tell you their what they call their white name or their American name. They'll tell you their mom's name, their dad's name, their grandparents' name, their great grandparents' name, and so it's an understanding about who somebody is and where they come from, which is different from an American call. I mean, imagine, oh hey, my dad's name is Jim and my mom's name is Mary and my grandma is Jane, and you know what I mean. It's on that. That's normal, right? That's
Sure.
normal. It's customary. They call me Shillup. In Choctaw, Shillup is a ghost.
Okay.
And that's a nickname. It's not anything that I got in a naming ceremony or anything.
Does it
Most
have
people
anything to do
now,
with Call of Duty, or just the fact that you're whiter than me?
that's exactly. So it has to do with whenever we play ball, because we have our traditional ball games that we play, right? Which is absolutely, you guys would absolutely love it. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread, right? It's
Right.
awesome. But basically, we play ball, and when I was younger, obviously, was really fast, and so they said, hey, you're like a ghost. You pop up here, you pop up there. I don't know, where you're at or what you're doing. They said you're like a ghost, and so they they go tell me she look.
That's so
Probably
cool.
because ghosts are associated with being white, right? And
Right.
so
Exactly.
so my skin tone is obviously not as dark as most of the people in my community.
Sure.
Um, so I shouldn't say most of the people in my most most Choctaw citizens in my community, because we've been intermarrying with Europeans for close to 250 years now, right? So
Hmm.
so but a large portion, we probably have, you know 60, 70, 80,000 of our tribal citizens probably still have darker skin. So it's neither here nor there,
Now, do you
you know
have any? One last question. Again, just curious. Now, when you, as an Indian, do you have customs, like for instance, that you maintain within the household, or certain events that you always do, no
Yeah,
matter what? And it's not like going to church, obviously, with a religion or something like that. But
sure.
is there things that are within your household and your custom within your nation that you guys do periodically?
Yeah, so it's interesting because uh it's interesting to see what families have retained certain customs over time, as
Hmm.
opposed to their neighbors who may have retained a different custom, or another neighbor who hasn't retained any tribal customs over time. A lot of tribal customs obviously have been lost over time because of assimilation and forced into Christianity and American society and that sort of stuff, and
Sure.
just right. So they lost a lot of customs.
Right.
One thing that's it's in our family that I say we've retained over time is kind of more like superstition. We believe that owls are taboo, and so we believe that owls are messengers of death, or messengers of bad news, but typically it's death. So
Oh.
in my house, we stay away from owls. We don't like owls. We don't want to see owls. We don't look at owls. If owls come, around the house, we close our eyes. You don't look at them. That's kind of more superstition.
Hmm.
Children don't look in the mirror before they're a year old. There's a belief. I'm not sure where that thought process basically came in, but it that if a children looks into a mirror before they're a year old, then their soul could be taken from them or something like that. So it's kind
Oh
of
my
more like
God.
superstition
That's
things like
so
that.
awesome, man. I'm so like taken aback because I write books on the side as well, on top of everything else I do. And I'm just like, damn, I'm getting my notepad and I'm like, okay, mirror, owls. All right, keep going. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Geez,
it's fun. It's
that's
interesting.
amazing. It's really interesting, man. And like I said, I could spend all day with you, but obviously I'm gonna have to let you go in a second. But let me put you real quick through the rapid fire. Okay, we're gonna set of questions. We're gonna rapid fire response from you real quick. All
Okay.
right. Favorite movie with an Indian story or subplot?
Okay, so right now, Wind River, okay,
Wind
has
River.
Jeremy Renner from
Oh
Marvel.
yeah, the
Jeremy,
Avengers.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah. So from Avengers, so Jeremy Renner is the main guy in that movie. It's about uh, uh, that's sexual assault, sexual abuse, rape, murder on Indian reservations,
Huh.
and the inability to get those people ever convicted. It's a huge epidemic across the country. Jeremy
Wow.
Renner does an awesome job shedding light on it. It's a great movie. It was on Netflix. I don't think it is anymore, but it's called Wind River.
Wind River.
It's an awesome movie. You should check it out.
I'm writing it down right now. Beer, wine, or whiskey?
None. I don't. No
None.
alcohol.
Got you. Favorite Indian custom?
Playing stickball. So one of our tribal sports that we play is oldest sport in America.
That's so
It's
cool, man.
awesome.
Oh my god.
If you're
Uh,
an athlete, you gotta play it.
I guess
It's
we're gonna
worth
have to
it.
bring you back on and just show it because I think I
Yeah,
saw a couple
yeah,
pictures of you with
yep,
the stick. So,
yeah, yeah.
favorite snack food?
Is ice cream snack food? Because
Yeah,
I like
that
ice cream.
works.
I like some ice cream. I like some ice cream.
And then your favorite sport? So you played football, you
Uh,
played stickball. What's
gotta
your
be
favorite?
football, man. It's gotta be.
It's got to
There's
be.
nothing I miss more. It's nothing I miss more than playing football.
Who's your team? Do you watch the NFL?
So, I used to be a huge NFL fan, and I don't really watch NFL, but I'm gonna get shot for saying this. Um, it's the Chiefs. The Chiefs are my team.
Oh my God! Well, hey man, they're the champs.
Yeah,
I mean, hey,
yeah.
but
But I'm not. I've been drugged, by other Indian folks for liking the Chiefs.
no, I'm
Because
sure the name, I guess. And they do the chant like the Atlanta Braves and stuff. But
yeah,
again, that's just it's one of those things that eventually, I think, like I said, one team is going to start it, and then the dominoes are going to fall, in my opinion.
yep.
So, but man, hey, Joshua, listen, man, it's been a pleasure to have you on. I really appreciate you taking the time and, like I said, educating us because I know my mind's blown, and I know anybody who's watching it, especially that's not of any Indian descent, had no idea about a lot of the stuff you're talking about. So it's
Sure.
really been a lot of fun, and man, we'll stay in touch. We'll definitely, want to do some more with you. That'd be a lot of fun.
Been a pleasure being on. I really appreciate the opportunity. Had a
Yeah,
good
man.
time tonight.
All right, man. Well, take care, and then we'll talk again soon. And like I said, I'll message you offline. We'll talk some more.
Hey, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Bye.
Wow. And again, I could do this entire show talking about it. And I'm so thankful for him. Like I said, we met online, man, just talking about this issue on Facebook. One of the things I pointed out the other day, I think things happen for a reason. And just the fact that he stepped up and he was like explaining some different things with the Indian Nation and was like, man, I have to bring this guy on. And he didn't disappoint. I mean, it's an amazing story. And not only that, but the guy is just smart as hell. I mean, you can tell while he works for the government, with the tribal nation, it's just, he knows his stuff and he knows his history. And that really is some eye-opening stuff. It really is a shame. And again, I could do the whole show just on the racism that and the bigotry and the oppression that we've afforded to the Indian peoples. And wow, it really was an eye opener having him on. So really, really good to experience that, and hope we can do that again soon. So we're actually going to be getting into our next guest soon, but we got to bring my boy on, Victor Mega Hugo. Let's do his little intro. How's it going, man? It's good to see you.
Hey, what's up? What's up, coach? Good to see you too.
Meu Deus do
What's
céu.
up, Slack Nation?
Agora você em casa e agora você não aqui comigo, man. Saudades, meu Deus.
Gente. Primeiramente, dar boa noite para toda a nação. Slack Smack, tudo Mega mais uma vez aqui presente, fazendo parte do Slack Smack. Então, a gente estava com saudade já, né? A gente teve uma semana aí,
man.
A gente não se falava. E, coach, mais uma vez, maior prazer falar. E realmente, né? Essa epidemia está fazendo as coisas ficarem cada vez mais sérias. Então, a gente tem que continuar fazendo o que a gente sabe fazer, que é trazer entretenimento para as pessoas, informação. Como foi a entrevista agora, sensacional. Cara, é muito interessante essa cultura indígena.
Nossa, é incrível. Falando com ele, esta coisa, eu sei, muitas pessoas aqui no Brasil podem não sabem o que acontece nos Estados Unidos, é muito, muito mal para eles, mas aqui também, na Amazon e outros lugares, tem índios aqui, e eles tratam muito mal também, meu Deus.
Sim.
So, é muito legal ele.
Verdade.
So, but para mim é muito bom para ele aberto coisas no futuro, fala com mais pessoas com isso também, claro. So, hey, listen,
Sim, com certeza.
We're going to have one of your boys coming on here in a second, man. And look, I know you're going to have a lot more to say as far as introducing this guy, but all I know is he's originally from New York, was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida, where he is now, where it's hotter than hell, and actually played for Georgia State, which is a Division I school in the NCAA in the United States. And he's played for a lot of different teams in the world, but he's now playing for Gallo FA and Belo Horizonte, and he used to be your teammate. So why don't you intro Mr. Big Parris Lee?
Yeah, man. Honestly, what I can say about him is a true baller. I played with him for 2 years. That guy is a true baller. I played for two different teams. We play in Turkey, we play in Brazil, and man, Himber guy just break the record for touchdowns season. Yeah, that guy, Big Play Lee, Parris Lee. Let's check his video. Yes.
Yeah, let's check the video out.
We got London on the track.
Honey been dropped on the head of any nigga want it, man. Pop me, yes, any, I'm fast, I'm so fast, I'm so faster than Sunny, man. True to my nigga, true religion, Buddha, man. My money stay tall as Ludacris, got fro, and I swear I'ma shoot with it. I did it for 9 birds, what I'ma do with that? Pull up on the curb, then you hop out and be through with that. I'm so fresh like this detergent, if you not fresh, you so through with that. If you are a nerd, everything here, you not cool with it. Yes, you not cool. No, you not boo. I'm in no damn, I'm not calling you boo. My bitch, she a Jew. You can't prove a point, but you know you so doomed. You know you so doomed. I swear I'm so lost with no clue. Don't know what to do. Go for a loud. I overloud on these niggas, ain't know how to milk these cows. She made that dick grow, now it be like a town. Yeah, but my bitch filled up with bad no bow. Honey been dropped on the head of any nigga want it, man. Pop me, yes, any, I'm fast, I'm so fast, I'm so faster than Sunny, man. true religion, Buddha man. My money stack tall as ludicrous, I throw and I swear I'ma shoot with it. I did it for 9 birds, what I'ma do with it? Pull up on the curb, then you hop out and be through with it. I'm so fresh like this detergent, if you not fresh, you so through with it. If you are a nerd, everything here you not cool with it. Pull up, hop out on the block, they tucking their tail like a Hooter clan. I'm dressed in all black, I'm always on the road just like a Uber man. We rapping and sending them packs, soon as they land, we moving them. Blame it on the OGs, they influence me. Alright, make your money, nigga. I ain't just make money, nigga. I put lipstick on the Rari, she say that's delicious. Who that is in that crown, Vic, he look suspicious. I just took the 100 pounds, I made 100 band, dropped on the head of any nigga wanted, man. Poppin' yes, any I'm fast, I'm so faster than Sunny, man. True to man, my nigga, true religion, Buddha man. My money stack tall as ludicrous, I throw and I swear I'ma shoot with it. I did it for 9 birds, what I'ma do with it? Pull up on the curb, then you hop out and be through with it. I'm so fresh like this detergent, if you not fresh, you so through with it. If you are a nerd, everything here you not cool with it. Yeah, you not cool with it. Oh, you not cool with it. Oh, you not cool with it.
All right, man. We're bringing the man in. Big Lee, big Parris, big play, man. What's going down, man?
What's going on, man? How's it going?
It's so good to have you on. I know Victor's happy as hell to have you on. Megan, what's
I
up, man?
appreciate it. Mega, what's up, bro?
What's up, big play Lee, brother?
He's delayed. I can't hear
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. We'll bring it on. Hey, man, let's talk about you for a second. Parris, you and your family. Where are you from originally, and when did you start taking football seriously?
Well, I was born in New York City. I started playing football organized probably around the age of like 4 or 5 years old. I pretty much played sports my whole entire life. I was into basketball. I was into growing up in New York City. Everyone plays basketball, so that was like my first love. That was my first love. So I played basketball at a young age, and I played football. I played hockey. I did everything. I just did anything, athletic. Literally street hockey.
Yeah.
I know no ice hockey. No, I
remember street hockey, man.
But back in the days, that was like, a tough man game. You got to be tough.
Oh, that was competition. Yeah, man.
So yeah, but football has always been like my thing because I was always the smallest guy. I was never really tall, but I was always quick and fast. So I used to always use that to my advantage. We used to play flag football. That's how I first started playing organized football, playing flag. And I realized, like, damn, no one can take my flag. Maybe, my mom was like, at first she was like, she didn't really like the idea of me, getting hit. So I was like, Mom, I don't think they'll hit me. And she was like, all right, well, let's try it. And the first time she seen me play football, like, I don't think she could have believed like how good I was. She was just like amazed. But I just always had this ability to just make people miss. So that's always been like my thing. I used to love playing tag when I was young because growing up in the inner city in New York City, it's not really much to do, So, having a good place to play, like a park or stuff like that, we took advantage of those things, like jumping over fence and things like that. And a lot of those movements and a lot of those things like helped me with football. So really I got a lot of my moves and my quickness and my ability is just playing as a kid in New York City.
Man, yeah, I hear you, man. That's so cool. I remember, like I said, back in the day. Now, Orlando is a whole different ball of wax, but still, I mean, everybody's got their streets they play on, and
yeah. But that's home. That's your foundation. That's like your foundation,
And it got real, man. There's
definitely.
no pads. Especially during the holidays. Had the turkey bowl on Thanksgiving, and you know what's up. We got real quick.
Yeah,
but you better bring
pick
an
him up,
extra
hit him
shirt.
up. Pick him up, hit him up. I
man.
remember that. We didn't even everyone just had to score the ball. That's all that game was about. Was just scoring and keeping the ball.
Yeah, I miss those days. God, it was fun.
Good vibe.
Now listen, you've played in a lot of different leagues, man. Besides
Definitely.
Brazil, where have you played?
All right. So I started my journey in like 2016. I went to Serbia. I went to a team called the Legionaries. The Legionaries was like a great family team. It was like my first time ever going overseas. So it was like one of those experiences like, I need to go see what the other side of the world is. You know, it was like, I want to play football, but it's just like more of a, let me see what this is about. And I had a lot of people that was, oh, why are you going there? And this, but I'm talking to these people, but these people have never been there. You know, so it's just like one-sided. They don't know. You know, a lot of the people that I came in contact before I decided to go overseas had never been overseas. So it was like one of those things where I was like, I need to go see this for myself. So I went to Serbia, and then I had like such a great like experience with just the overall just experience of just being away, seeing something different, seeing something new. That was amazing.
And Serbia is beautiful, man.
Serbia is beautiful. Man. It's cold. It's very cold, but it's very beautiful.
Wow,
it's very beautiful. Amazing. Definitely. Yeah. From then I got contracted to play in Italy. Italy was amazing. It was like that was like a dream for me because one thing, I love spaghetti and I love pizza, so I was like all for it. You know, like for me as a running back, like that was just like I was like a no-brainer. But then
I'm putting on some pounds.
Come on, now, you know. But then it was a great situation. It was a great situation because I got to play for a legendary coach named Adam Reeder, and he came from the Canadian Football League. Right, he won like 6 Grey Cups, been there like 5 times. Like it was amazing, man. It was a great experience because I got coached by a legend. I got to help a program that was once in the NFL Europe. It was like champions of NFL Europe. I played with Bergamo Lions. It was a great experience, man. It was like, I don't know, probably like outside of Brazil, Italy had to been the best experience I've ever had in my life. Like honestly.
Now your former coaches in Italy there too, right? Marcus.
Yes, he actually does. He coached it, but actually he coached in Italy before he came to Brazil. So so he's been in Brazil for in Italy for a couple years, but he just recently went back.
Yeah. Wow, that's
but from then I went to Turkey, and that's where I met my boy Megatron. You know what I'm saying? And I met my boy Megatron there. And that was a great experience. No, but you know, there we had like we had a real like crappy deal because we wasn't unfortunately we wasn't given the opportunity to continue the season. But the friendship and the bond that we made on that experience was like guys that I would bring to my wedding, like things like that. Like these boys will forever be my friends to the day I die. Like seriously. That's so cool. But it was because all we had was each other. You know, we was in a foreign country. None of us ever been there, but we had each other. And no matter what happened in that situation, we was together and we made each other comfortable with whatever the situation brought. And we got better. We got better from that because after we left there, then me and my boy Mega won a championship in Brazil, and I've been there ever since. And that was the first time in my professional career that I've won a Super Bowl. I won a championship. So I appreciate that, doing that with that man right there, because if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to go there, because I'll never forget the opportunity, how it happened. And I thought it was a joke. I thought he was playing. I thought he was lying. He told me about it, and he was just like, you know, if you come here, you're going to really love it. I'm like, Mega, you know, these experiences is getting bad. Like, I don't know. Like, it's not paying. He said, bro, if you come to Brazil, you would not want to leave. Man, if he wasn't lying, man, he was so right. He was so right. It was like, honestly, one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. Like, truly. To go there, like, just the friendship, the bond that we have there, and just the overall team, the experience was just amazing. That year alone just set the tone for me for the rest of my career. For sure. For sure.
Go ahead, Mega.
Yeah, man, it was amazing. Barely the first time when I saw he in Turkey, I saw, man, guy is like a mini beast mode, man. I was so loved to watch him practice. and so yeah, what do you do? So that's how we thought Turkey. What happened because we was playing for Yeditepe there,
It's a big.
and they had the Coach Rams. Coach Rams was
Yep.
undefeated for I think
7 years.
7 years. And my first game, I got injured. Yes, 7 years I got injured, but Parris Lee, the first game, they scored I think four touchdowns. And the second game against Coach Rams, they beat him. They beat Coach Rams, and I don't know
The biggest
how,
upset in the country.
but our
Yes,
team
sir.
got suspended.
Yes.
So yeah, our team just got suspended, and we lost the season. We lost the season.
Yep.
So we're talking about, man, just using our time for getting better, know each other, and I said, Paris, after here, you come to me, Brazil. Let's go win some championship there. Was amazing. Was amazing.
Man, it was like when Scottie Pippen met Jordan, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. It was perfect.
Man, I'm telling you, I'm just watching this in like awe because as a coach, I'm like, damn, I can just imagine having those weapons on the field, man.
But it was so hard because there's one ball, man.
Yeah.
The mega demands the ball. You know, like it's hard. It's hard for a guy to go out there and size him up. You know,
Right.
I don't care what level you on, you're gonna have to bring it. You know.
Well, you know, the thing about it is, look, you know, a receiver like Mega is going to force a double team right out of the gate,
For
right?
sure.
He's going to take the top off the defense, which in turn is going to open it up for you. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
I mean, if you use it right, hell, I mean, Mega's going to get his, but then you're going to get yours. Wow.
So you know what happened that first year? I'm gonna tell you on 2018. People was not ready for the things that I was ready to bring to Brazil. That was the problem. They never seen an import like me, and I don't talk like this about myself. But ball players know ball players. They've never seen an import like me.
No, you're a straight baller, man. I mean, you're an American player, man. You're born and bred there, and it's just a different type of athlete, man. You play with that aggressiveness, and I was going to talk about that later, but you're the type of running back that's got the combination of the speed and the power. It's like a Marshawn Lynch. I mean, that's the best comparison I can make.
When you say Marshawn Lynch, it's like you crazy. I don't see Marshawn. I see more like not Saquon, like more like how can I say? I like Chris Johnson. I like guys like Smooth, Jamal Charles, things like that. Because I like my speed.
But you got more power though. No, but you got more power. You know what I'm saying? I've seen you, and again, we're talking about, you know, the level of competition is a little bit different, but you still have that power, and you're compact like he is. You know what I'm saying?
I got
and you have
like a ball.
You know, almost like another one that I would think of is like a LaShawn McCoy.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? Because
I get it. I get what you're saying.
You can catch the ball out of the backfield, but you can still run somebody's ass over. So I mean, you know, that kind of power and speed and being able to catch the ball on top of the fact you got Mega just freaking tearing people away from the defense. I mean, look.
According to the BFA, I'm only 78 in strength. I'm only a 78 in strength, so I'm not that strong, bro.
Hey, consider the source, man. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm gonna say. I mean, that's all I'm gonna say. We'll just leave it right there because I know I got a bunch of haters as it is, so I don't need them going on a hate rampage. But hey, it is what it is. But hey, you know, what about, you know, off the field, man? Talk about what it's like for you guys. You brought up a great point. You know, you're there with Mega, you're in Turkey. What the hell? What did you guys do? I mean, what was that like? Yeah.
Honestly, we found ways to spend money. Honestly, like we really found ways to spend money. We took ourselves out. No, we enjoyed ourselves. We found ways to go eat. We found places to go shopping to find like good clothes and things like that for good prices and things like that. We enjoyed ourselves. We went to the movies. We took care of ourselves. Like we enjoyed ourselves because at the end of the day, there was nothing that we did wrong. So we knew that we didn't want to feel like we were being punished. We took every opportunity. We worked out every single day. We did our thing. We went shopping. We hung out. We just bonded. We just really bonded and got better. Because I knew when I left there, I was going into something else that I didn't have any idea what it was, but I was prepared in 2018, and that's exactly what happened. So
wow. Now you currently play for one of the top teams in Brazil. Come on,
Definitely.
Galo is obviously one of the best teams there.
Galo doido, Galo.
Hey,
simply.
As
Galo.
an American, our work ethics and methods are different, man. So how hard is it for you to motivate your teammates, to do the things, that you do in order to be successful?
See, that's the thing about playing for Galo. It's demanded that we all carry ourselves as American football players. It's not it's a culture there. It's a certain culture that these guys in 2017 and 2016 they built. Mega and these guys, they built that type of culture because that's how they was taught. So when I got there, it was just like, oh damn, I feel like I'm back in college. I got to get it, you know what I'm saying? I got to get it back into rhythm. So it's not like I got to bring my game up to them. Sometimes I come to practice and I got to catch Mega. I got to be like, hey, Mega, I need you to bring me on with this day. Because I'm going to tell you, a football player, it's a grind. You know that? You don't come to practice every day and want to go.
Exactly.
But you look across that sideline and I look at Mega eyes and he won it bad. And he might have had a bad day too, but he busting his tail. So I'm like, I got to get my, my crap together and I got to get going. Because that's who I play. That's who I play for. I didn't come to Brazil to make $1 million. I didn't come there to make a lot of money. I came there to play with guys who love the game just as much as I do. And when I look at guys like Mega and I'm around guys like that takes my game to a next level. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what my age is. It doesn't matter any of those things. Because at the end of the day, when I'm around those guys, iron sharpens iron. And if I'm around iron all day, you might as well just call me a welder man because I'm gonna keep building. I'm gonna just keep building. And that's what I've been doing. And that's why I've stayed in this position. And I'm comfortable here because I feel like my game cannot get better or better opportunities is going to come from it. You get what I'm saying? So I'm cool. I'm cool. I think I'm very blessed. I'm very fortunate to be where I am, to have some great people in my corner, to have great friends, So it's amazing.
Here in Brazil, unbelievably, there's a lot of critics about American players, and even more so with coaches, and call it jealousy, call it a cultural difference, whatever, but it clearly exists for one reason or another. So how do you keep yourself motivated and ready to play, even with all the haters and the critics, the majority of which have freaking never even played the game or have been learning it watching YouTube or something like that, So how does that kind of keep you motivated as well?
Well, I'm gonna keep it real. My mama said when you're doing something right, everybody ain't gonna like you.
Yeah, it's true.
And you know what I'm saying? When much is given, as much is required. So I live by codes, man. I control what I can control, and the rest I just put it in the Lord's hands. You know what I'm saying? I can't control what people don't like and what they do like about me. I got to continue to be me every single day, and I don't got to be nobody else but me. And as long as I can control what I say and what I do, they can hate as much as they hate, but I'm still winning. And I'm going to keep winning. And I've always been winning. So whether you like me or you don't like me, you got to deal with me because I ain't going nowhere. I'm here.
Man, I want to strap up right now. Damn.
Right, we here.
You know what I'm saying?
Big trust.
I know.
Trust.
I was telling Victor that the other day, man. He was over here at the house, and I'm like, damn, man. I'm ready to strap. I'm 48 years old, but damn, I'm ready to put a helmet on. Man, God, I don't care.
Get on my old line for me,
dog. Oh my God. Listen, man. As a running back, you take a pound. Go ahead.
Go ahead, bro.
It's crazy because every time I look for P on practice and games. And see, here guys so motivated, so his emotions, like he transport, and so I learn a lot from him. a lot for him.
Yeah,
Every time I look him on practice, on games, and I talk with him a lot of times about this. I say, man, I try to be a dog. I try to create this mentality because here in Brazil we don't have this. So we need build this mentality here, and I feel like a dog. And every time I look for Paris, and I said he talked to me. I said, Mega, doesn't matter. I want every snap touch the ball. You too. Fuck me. Just
right,
ask for the ball. You're the man.
right.
You're a dog too, bro.
Exactly.
Every time he said that for me. Yeah.
The mentality,
Don't.
Go ahead, bro.
Yes. Yeah. Say. Yes.
Listen to me. The mentality that I want him to have is it's a dog eat dog world, you know.
Yeah,
And in the
no
football game, I played Division I ball at Georgia State University, and playing there, you have to understand that if you on a starting team or you a backup guy, you get limited reps. If you don't get your reps, in practice, if you don't jump in the line,
You're on the bench.
you don't get on film. And when you don't get film, you don't play.
Yeah.
So that is important. And I tell him, bro, when you in the game, demand the ball. I don't care what the play is called. Change it.
Yeah.
You know, change it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just wanted him to build that mentality to, you know, just demand the ball and just have that dog mentality to know that at any given time I can do whatever I want, whenever I want.
Yeah. And that's the flexibility. And, you know, a lot of that comes into your upbringing and your coaching and your work ethic. You know, a lot of people, want to play this game, but they treat it still as a hobby, and they don't understand. Look, man, this is a 6 day a week
This is a lifestyle.
deal. You're practicing. Yeah, you're watching film. You're working on your craft. You're in the gym.
Right.
And there's no just, stopping and then just showing up for a practice one day. Especially because you played in college Division I, so did I with UCF, and look, man, it's a grind. When you're playing in school, you're in practice Monday to Thursday after doing classes all damn day. You know what's up.
Yeah.
You're usually traveling Friday. The game is on Saturday. You're back in film on Sunday, and then start all over again. So, a lot of that contributes, and I think the reason I'm saying this is because here in Brazil, in order for the game to grow, which, we've done a fantastic job to this point, but we as Americans, and obviously with Vic, who's pretty much part American anyway, the way he balls out and works on his game, those kind of models really are going to help people rise their game here, because if they see you doing it, then they're going to know that they need to do it too. So it's one thing for me as a coach to say, hey, look, I need you to do X, Y, Z. But then if I got two of my star players that are in the gym, that are hustling in sprints, that are running plays to the end, so on and so forth, the other players are going to be like, well, damn, I need to do my thing too. Right.
Tag along.
So, yeah. And that's one of the things I think that really needs to kind of get ingrained here for the next 10, 15 years. Because like I said, we've done a good job to this point, but now what's the next step? Because we've got about 15. Go ahead.
I think the next step to honestly, to help the game grow in Brazil, and you know what I'm saying, it has to be camps. It has to be convention.
Exactly.
It has to be Americans here giving the basics, just honestly just breaking it down, you know what I'm saying? So guys can honestly relearn. Sometimes you got to unlearn to relearn, you know what I'm saying? And just to really understand the culture. I don't think every organization understands the culture. I think they love the game, and I think they like the game, but they don't understand the culture behind it. There's a reason you do everything in football. There's a reason and season for everything in football. My coaching, I play for Coach Bill Curry, one of the legendary coaches, Bill Curry. I play for another one. Super Bowl champion. Super Bowl I, play for Vince Lombardi, So he always told me football is like life marked off in 100 yards. And all of the progression of football is always about moving forward, just as like it is about life. Sometimes you get knocked back, and sometimes you got to move forward. And I feel like in order for it to continue to move forward, they have to move forward with more Americans actually coming here to play. They have to allow more coaching from America to come here to coach.
Yeah.
And there needs to be like a real budget for teams for the game to grow. I think there needs to be real money from the government put into this amazing game that can help so many kids, like so many people with this one game that can teach them so many things about life, like so many different things. There needs to be a budget for it. There needs to be a budget for sports outside of than soccer, because people, what I understand, they love soccer. Don't get me wrong. People in Brazil love soccer. It's the number one sport in the world, but people are bored with it. People are tired of the same people winning the same things. They're tired of it. They want something new, and they love. That's why American football is so different, because it's not I get hit and then I get a flag. It's like, wow, he got hit hard. Let me see if he get up, and he does, and he's ready to go to the next play. And they're amazed when they see a guy like me make guys miss and be able to do my thing, because they've never seen something like that. They've seen guys run God and kick a goal, but they never seen a guy score a touchdown. You know, so it's just a different experience. And I feel like the kids we need to teach it in school. I think there needs to be curriculum where they learn football in school. They need to teach the game. They need to teach, and it starts with the kids. I think every team needs to have a fetal team where there's a younger team where and then they grow up and then they play on the older team. Just the same thing that they do with soccer, they need to do with football. American football is a great game. It's a beautiful game. It teaches it's controlled violence, it's controlled chaos.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree with you more. You know, especially when it comes to, coaching is a big thing. As far as I know, I was the last head coach here that's American, which it can't be that way. And again, it's not against coaches that are here that are Brazilian. There's some great coaches here. We've had them on our show and stuff. But come on, I mean, we grew up with a ball in our crib. They grew up with a soccer ball. So there's going to be especially with coaches that have played the game at the level that we have played, and at times have coached as well. It's not a knock against them. And I think in some cases here, they rebel against it because they feel a little bit threatened. And it's like, well, you can't have one thing or the other. It's got to be, you either want to increase the visibility and increase the quality of the game, or you want to have it as a hobby and not have anybody invest. One of the things I've been talking to a lot of different coaches and presidents been on here, this is the reason why the NFL and the NCAA haven't even touched us yet, because we got to get our act together here first.
Right.
And I think once we do that, now some teams have. Look, you guys have
made a lot of connections. We made a couple.
Yeah, your program is ridiculous. You're doing a great job. T-Rex is doing a great job.
Right.
Spectres have a great program. Recife Mariners have a great program. There's some great teams, but then you have the top 20, 25, and then there's a hell of a drop off.
Right.
And
it shouldn't be like that.
And
it shouldn't be like that.
It's not even close.
It shouldn't be like that.
There's like you said, I think the federal government, if they could get involved somehow. Look, it's the third largest market for television down here. So between USA, so you got over 230 million people down here. They got to start recognizing.
I was so surprised when I came to Brazil the first year, and I realized how many people watch American football on the NFL. I was like shocked, like so many people watch the NFL in Brazil. Yeah. So many people.
And they're all going to be Buccaneers fans this year. So you know what's up. That's my boys, man. Don't be hating on my Bucks now. Come on, man. I finally got a team.
Long time coming.
Yeah, man. It's been 13 years since we made the playoffs. So I don't care.
I don't really got a team, man. I don't really got a team. I just like ball, man. For real.
Yeah. I feel you. But let me ask you a couple quick questions and we'll get you out of here, man.
Right,
who are some of your role models today? And then in other words, who do you mold your game after?
My role model? I think my role model would have to be my pops, man. My dad. Yeah. My dad was always like a good man. He was just always a hard-working guy who always, did everything that he could to make sure that he provided for us in some type of way, and just make sure that he, that we was okay. He made sure that he taught us how to pray. He taught us how to be faithful. He taught us just how to be good, just how to be a good man. Just a good person. And again, my mom, my parents, man, just really, my parents are pretty much my role model. They always been there, just always hold me down, wrong or right, they was just always there. If I model my game after anybody, I would have to say Chris Johnson, man. I'm my favorite player. That's like growing up as a kid, like I just watched his speed. Like you can't, certain things you can't teach, and that's speed. And I've always loved the way that he just like ran the ball. Jamal Charles, I love how smooth he runs. I got a combination of a lot of people, man. I watch a lot of everybody, I like Derrick Henry. I like how he runs, so strong and powerful, but he also has exceptional feed. He also has exceptional speed. So he's a lot faster than most people think he is.
Well, you'd be surprised, man. We're actually working on Chris Johnson. He grew up about 5 minutes from me, and
cool.
he went to Olympia High School in Orlando, which was like literally down the street.
Let me tell you something. I came home in 2018, and I was actually able to get in contact with Chris Johnson, and we signed. I actually signed to his. It was like a pre-workout. It is called Juice. And he put me a part of like his ambassador team. So I got to chat with him and stuff like that. So I got to actually, communicate with him. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life because, I grew up in my socks watching this dude play in college. And I'm like, damn, man, I want to be like Chris Johnson, and then to have him recognize me like on Instagram. And it was a small little gesture, but it meant a lot to me because it's like, he know who I am, though. And it was like, just a true fan, like just a true fan of him. And I appreciate it. I appreciate that.
Yeah, he's a beast. So I'll definitely let you know if we get him on because that'll be interesting. Because we got I'm sure Quincy Carter. Quincy Carter is coming on next week, so that's going to be all right. Okay, so that'll be pretty cool. But one of my favorite quotes, one of that my dad gave me after my junior season. I had a really good junior season in high school. I was actually an All-American, and he said, "Hey, staying there is harder than getting there," and he was referring to, playing at that same level and doing the same thing the following year. So, Gallo had an amazing, 3 or 4 year run. And then last year you guys fell a little short. What does that quote mean to you? And do you think now that you lost last season, it's going to be easier to motivate the guys coming back for 2021?
I'm going to keep it real with you. After 2018, I came to my dad. I said, Dad, what else do I got to prove? And my dad was like, he laughed at me. He said, what you mean what you got to prove? He said, you ain't never had nothing to prove. Just go play ball. All we got to do is just play ball. Last year, we beat ourselves. It wasn't that they beat us. Everybody knows that we were a good team, and we didn't have the team that we had in 2018. Let's put it like that.
Right.
But we still handled the job for what it was worth. If anybody is sleep on us next year, they're going to have a problem, for sure. If anybody comes into any game thinking that we're going to lay down or we're going to get worse, you're going to have a problem, for sure. And I'm going to just leave it like that. You're going to have a problem.
Oh, I feel you, man.
You're going to have a problem.
Megan, go ahead, man.
Hey, Lee, let me ask something for you, bro. What does the future hold for Parris Lee?
I can't hear.
He's asking you, what is the future?
He said, say it again.
He's asking you, what does the future hold for you?
What does the future hold for me? I mean, the sky's the limit. I don't know. I don't know what God's plans is for me, but I know I'm living in the moment, and I'm blessed every single day that I'm able to wake up and open my eyes. And I'm just happy to be here, man. I'm just happy to be able to be on this podcast with you guys and be able to talk ball, talk about life, just talk about, just overall friendships, things like that, man. I don't know what the future holds, but all I know is that it's going to be bright, and I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to be here.
Man, I'm telling you, you're incredible, man. Not only is from speaking as a coach, but we'll definitely get you on here during the regular season because we're going to talk ball all day long. So
That's
I mean,
what we need. That's what we need. We need some more people
miss
talking about the game the way it's supposed to be talked about.
we need some of that flavor down here. I miss it, man. I haven't been back in the States in like 4 years now. So I'm like,
Come
damn.
on,
I
man.
mean,
you need some of that. You need some of that good barbecue out here.
don't even go there, man. I miss the chicken wings and rib. Man, me and Victor were talking about that the other day.
Yeah, he
Because
got,
every
he got a
time
little
he
taste
comes
of it.
over,
He got a little taste of it.
every time he comes over, man, I got some crap food going on. I got the French fries and the pizza, and then I'm like, man, I wish I had some chicken wings. And, oh man, golly. That's the truth. But hey, let me get you real quick. We got this rapid fire section, and then we'll get you out of here.
Let's get it.
What cups of coffee in a day?
One.
1 cup. Brazilian beaches, Daytona, or Miami?
Brazil. For sure. There ain't no question. No question. Hey, Mega, remember Villadella? Oh, man.
Yeah. Hey, Lee, favorite
What'd he
food
say? I can't hear
after 2 a.m.
I know he's saying something crazy.
You can hear me?
Can you
You
hear
can
him?
hear
No,
me?
sir. I can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. He's asking, what's your favorite food after 2 a.m.?
It's my favorite food at the potato chips.
Hey, you can't get on
Hey, coach, ask him.
Club? Come on, man. 2 a.m. I'll be
Ask
getting
In
him
Brazil,
what is,
but you're
what
talking
is
about
Bali?
in Brazil, or
What
you're
is
talking
Bali?
about at the crib at home?
Oh, all right. All right. What'd you say, Victor? Go ahead.
Ask for him what means Bali for him. Bali.
Okay, what he is asking me, what does Bali mean for you?
Ooh, man. That means the best chicken wrap you can ever eat in your life, mixed with some honey. We ate this in Turkey. It was a bala. It was like a gyro, but it was a chicken wrap. It was on the oven, like a grill oven, and it had honey dipped inside. And it was like some other little ranch sauce. Good grief. It was like the best thing you could eat. And it was like $3 or something like that. So we used to get like 4 of them and just bring them back to the house, and we just after the club.
Hey, so I didn't even ask you, man. How's your Portuguese?
Fala, entendi bem. Fala mais ou menos, tá bom?
I'm
I'm all right. I'm not. I understand a lot better than I can speak, but not too good, bro.
Let me ask you: Does it get better for you when you're in country? Because, like I said, now you're back in the States and you're not using it.
Right.
My wife, she's Brazilian, so man, when she gets on my shit,
it's rapid fire.
I'm like, what? I'm like, yes, ma'am, whatever the hell you just said. But, but I'm here, so it's a little bit better. But man, I can imagine you go back to the States and you're like, man,
I'm not using it, and that's the hardest part. That's the hardest part leaving any country. When you're not using it, you're losing it. So, but just seeing it. I got friends that I talk to, so I get to hear it sometimes. But it's cool, man. It's cool.
Hey, so when are you heading back down here?
So right now, just dealing with this pandemic. I'm hoping maybe August, but we're gonna see.
Okay,
we're gonna see.
Hey, well, we got to figure out a way to get you down here, man, because you're gonna fly into Sao Paulo. We're gonna have to hook up.
If I come on that show, it's gonna be amazing. I need to come live and direct with y'all boys.
Yeah, Victor, you guys come over to the house, man. We'll do our thing for real. That'd be raw,
for sure.
Especially in August. We'll be right
hey, we might need to start doing this every week. We need to get some people up here.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Definitely.
That'd be great. Well, hey, man, listen, I really appreciate a short notice you coming on, and I know Victor. I know it's a shame something's wrong with his connection today, but hey, it's how we work. So, but man, it's been a pleasure. For Dan,
it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Sure, we're gonna get back on. Get your get ready for the season, man. You guys are gonna do your thing. I can't wait to watch you next year. It's gonna be awesome.
Hey, man, you gotta stay ready. You ain't never gotta get ready. So I'm always staying ready. That's what I teach my boys. I tell my boys that all the time when I text them and stuff like that. You stay ready, you ain't never got to get ready. So we just stay on the grind. This is a lifestyle, It's a lifestyle. Even outside of Gala, football is a lifestyle. So if you're a football player, if you're a young football player out there, you want to play football, Make it a lifestyle. Make it something that you're gonna give every day of your life, because playing this game, you can lose your life. So give everything you got into it, And I'll just leave y'all with that. Man. God bless y'all. And thank y'all for having me.
Hey, thank you, man. You take care.
Yes, sirski.
That's another guy I could spend all day talking to, man. That's talking straight ball. I mean, and you can't find those. I mean, down here they're few and far between. There's a good amount of Americans playing down here. Not as many as you would think. But man, when he gets a hold of that ball, man, look out. Especially now that he's motivated. It's going to be scary to watch them next year. So whoever's going to have, the privilege of coaching that team, damn, look out. Megan, what do you think, man?
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. He's a guy that he put in scared and against every team. So, and last year, the last 2 years, I was like the friend zone. So I learned too much with him, and he got, and the way and what he think about, he just want to play ball. This is why I'm scared, because he's so smooth in the field.
Yeah, he just eats, sleeps, and drinks football, and that's a scary thing because you can't teach that. You're born with that or you're not. And one of the frustrating things here as a coach sometimes, especially being from the United States, it's different with players here. You really have to push them sometimes to be motivated to go to practice, motivated to watch film, motivated to learn their playbook and stuff like that. When you got guys that are playing on your level, Victor, and playing on his level, you don't have to do that. You just be like, here, you know what you got to do, take care of business. This is what we want to run. This is kind of what we're looking at. This is the direction I want to go. And you guys take the ball and run with it. So, man, like I said, it's a dream to coach guys like that, guys like you, Victor, and wow, I'm jealous because, damn, I sure as hell would want to put some pads on and go at it still, man. It's unbelievable. But, hey, so let's talk real quick, next show, when we've been trying to do this for a couple weeks now, and I think we got it situated. Next week is going to be awesome. Next Tuesday night is we're going to finally have our quarterbacks night. We're going to start with Baylor Trujillo. He's from my neck of the woods in Orlando. He actually played at USF, the University of South Florida, not UCF, because they crackheads. So he also played with Weber International University until he was sidelined with an ACL injury. He played some at safety where they won the Sun Conference title, and then went on to play arena football for the Central Florida Jags and the Orlando Predators, the Florida Tarpons as well. When he was with the Predators, he was actually invited to the All-Star game, was selected the MVP, where he threw 5 TDs and received 1 in that game. So it's pretty amazing. But he currently owns a QB training company called Be True Training, where he trains. He's partnered with former South Carolina QB Steven Garcia, former Dallas QB Quincy Carter, and Miami Hurricanes Charlotte 49er Kevin Olsen, and more. So lastly, he's also the host, or one of the co-hosts, for ESPN Radio 580 in Orlando, and so we're excited to have him. Next, we have Tatiana Sabino. Tatiana is a Brazilian woman who has been involved in football for, get this, man, 18 years. And we're going to hear her incredible story about starting to play as a QB on the beaches of Rio, including playing for a men's team. In 2004, she founded the Big Riders, American Big Riders, which is down in the south of Brazil. And they're the first women's football team in the country. And she's currently the president, quarterback, and coach of the Big Riders. So in addition, during the season, she doesn't play quarterback. She's the left guard position, which she was actually drafted for the Brazilian national team in 2019. So her team, the Big Riders, also first founded a men's team, and she was the president of the Rio de Janeiro Federation of American Football in 2018. So She's going to be a lot of fun to talk to as well. And then last but not least, man, this is going to be a lot of fun. Quincy Carter is going to be joining us. Quincy Carter, for those that don't know, played in the NFL for the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Jets. He was a member of the Bossier Shreveport Battle Wings, Kansas City Brigade, and Abilene Rough Riders, and the CFL as well. Additionally, from 1996 to 1999. So he actually played in the minor league system for the Chicago Cubs, which is amazing. But a lot of quarterbacks play baseball as well, so that's pretty interesting. He played college football at the University of Georgia, and he was the 1998 SEC Freshman of the Year. So Quincy Carter brings a hell of a lot of experience as well. So that night of quarterbacks is going to be a lot of fun. It's all going to be here Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Brazil time, 7 o'clock Eastern. We really appreciate you turning in. Sorry about the late delay today. We just had some weather issues and messed up our internet a little bit. It is what it is. It happens. Stay tuned as well. We're going to have coffee with the coach a few different times this week. We got a lot of good things coming on with that. So for me, Victor Mega Hugo, we really appreciate watching. Remember, staying there is harder than getting there, and we will see you Tuesday night.